All right, Coach. The preseason rankings are out. Your team is number 1 in the Sooner Athletic Conference and number 4 in the NAI. It's a big target on your back right away.
Well, it's nice to be included in that group that has got a chance. But you look at it, it doesn't mean a whole lot when it gets right down to it. Somebody's got to be up there. I think jumping past the conference and looking at the national poll, I think there are 4 teams that got votes for number 1. And it's really an unknown deal. So many teams don't play each other, spread all over the country. Until you get to Kansas City, you don't really know. I think last year's national tournament was a good example. The teams that I thought were the best teams were basically all out after 2 rounds. And the teams that were left were teams that I didn't think were any good. Well, obviously, they proved me wrong. They're playing deep into the tournament, and Rocky Mountain and Columbia are playing in the finals.
That's an extraordinary tournament last year. But we're starting anew this year. November 6th, Dallas Christian comes to town. Have you got any idea what they're like?
Well, we played them 3 or 4 years ago, but the coaches changed, and they called us and wanted to play. So I think that says something, that they've probably upgraded some. The one good thing is they're going to play out at Lubbock and Wayland this weekend, and we may not get there to see it, but I think we'll be able to see a tape and have an idea of what they're going to look like. I know they did play Lubbock and Wayland last year, and both Lubbock and Wayland were able to beat them out there. But we'll see what we get into. But it's not a normal opener in terms of it's somebody that we've seen year in and year out. There's 4 or 5 teams on our schedule that we've played on a pretty consistent basis the last few years, and you kind of know who they've got back, and you know what they run. It's the same coach, so this will be a little bit different.
Okay. You mentioned earlier in the season that the team at that point was kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, trying to fit everything together. What are some of the pieces that are new this year that might help the Bison out?
Well, when you start, looking at last year's team and comparing to this year's team, Brent Jones, that's a big hole to fill. We've never had a first-team All-American point guard, and was a leading scorer the last 2 years for the most part. I know when Nate became eligible, he scored a few more points, but that's a big spot to fill. And Tim Bowman and Heath McKay are both doing a good job. Heath has improved quite a bit. Really has worked hard, and of course he's been here 2 years. He's got a pretty good understanding of what we want out of that spot, and Tim's been hit with a lot of new stuff. It's a different way that he's not used to playing, or not that different, but it's just a lot in plays and things like that. So it becomes it's a new deal for him. He's got to really improve and make some progress.
All right, looking at the overall team now, you got a lot of big pieces. You mentioned Nate Rumsfeld back, and they've got a lot of tough competition. A lot of these new guys are unaware of the life in the SAC.
Well, and then that's you run into that every year. It seems like you can tell them and talk to them, but they just the understanding until you go through it. It's really different, and I'm no different. I thought I had an idea when I came here, but once I got into it, I realized I really didn't understand what this is like and how hard it is. But you hope they catch on quickly. You play preseason or pre-conference games, and you hope that helps. I hope the exhibition games with East Central and Southeastern will help prepare us. And it becomes more critical that you're ready to go now, playing 3 conference games before Christmas. We've done this is the 3rd year now we've done that, and those are critical games. It was a very important game that we lost last year before Christmas in the conference. That it ended up being a major factor in who won the conference. So you hope that the guys that you've got back that have experienced can talk to the new guys. You hope the new guys are receptive and understand, but there's going to be a learning curve there.
Talk about playing in this arena, in this atmosphere. You didn't lose the game at all last year. Outstanding record at home since you've been here. What's the importance of playing here at home?
Well, I think just basketball in general. You start there. Home teams tend to have an advantage, and there's lots of theories on that. But OBU has played well in this gym ever since it was built. You just look at the record, and it's amazing that the percentage of wins in there. We've had last year's team, like you mentioned, didn't lose a game, and we've had I think maybe the year before we lost one, and we've had years. We had at one point in time we had 3 junior college guys that ultimately ended up losing their last game, and they could have played 2 years here and not ever lost a game. So I think there's no doubt it's nice to have our students there. I think it's a unique deal to have your students sitting right there with you, on your bench. I know all the green seats are sold, and the attendance, of course, picks up when football's over and we get into conference, and I think that helps. And I think beyond that, I think two things maybe. Our guys think they're supposed to win here, and other teams come in here thinking, boy, this is going to be really hard to win in here. That's a pretty good situation, and it's something that our guys need to understand because, boy, it's a lot easier to win home games in this league than it is go on the road and win. Any road win in this league is invaluable.
All right. Well, I'll get started November 6th. Coach, thanks a lot, and that'll do it for our first coaching.